Hello and welcome to MSE 402. This is week 2 or module 2 in project management, engineering project management. What I wanted to do is I wanted to do a quick week 2 overview for you, a video introduction to show you all the areas that we want you to cover this week. Week 2 in the process perspective is called project initiation. This is where we start to really plan a project. Last week we were putting together I'll call it the pre-scope or initial area of a project, where what we did was we identified what kind of proposal you would be willing to accept and got you started down that journey with the ECS company. This week we're going to really create a different environment for you. This is where we're actually going to put together the scope statement. We're going to give you a chance to kind of put together all of the components that really start to define a project in more detail. So this is called the initiating phase. This is where we initiate a project. So you can see that in the initiation phase, the areas that we're going to cover, you can see the quality and changes continue riding through this particular area, and you can see that it grows out of or evolves from the previous steps or the previous phase that was the introduction phase from last week. So let's go ahead and jump in and see what we've got lined up for you. It's going to be an exciting week because this is where you get to do a lot of fun things. So project initiation, once again, is where we initiate the project. Until the project initiation phase, you don't really have a project. This is where you get some level of, I'll call it anointment, or some level of people telling you, yes, it's a go from a project perspective. So you can see that in my week 2 lecture I've got set up for you, we're going to be discussing those components to project initiation, what the pieces to it are, what the components of it are. And you can see that our week 2 Zoom live lecture presentation, we've got the area for us to start talking about defining a project. So we're going to define a project, what the components of it are, what the areas that are going to be explored for you are going to be. So that'll be on Wednesday. Don't forget, Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's when we do our week 2 Zoom live lecture. And then next to that, you'll see the icon for our week 2 ECS PMO message. This week we've got a different type of challenge for you. You've got something new that becomes available to you as an opportunity, and you have additional challenges this week. So remember, your team leader needs to go ahead and discuss this with you, and then you all need to make a decision as to which direction you want to go to be able to answer those 3 questions. Once those 3 questions are answered, you may get a response back from me saying, yes, that's very good, or we might want you to change your mind and go a different direction. So there may be some additional details that you'll pick up this week. If you jump down into your books, you're going to see that the PMI PMBOK guide is one of the textbooks that you're reading this week. We've got information for you on the specific first stage from a PMI perspective, the initiation phase. So you're going to see that the rest of the model that I've created maps 1 for 1 directly into the PMBOK guide. You're going to see that all the components, all the process pieces that they talk about here are areas that we talk about as we go through our material. In addition to that, you're going to have weekly readings out of the Gray and Larson book on project management. It's going to be on the project structure. It's going to be on what does a project look like as we start to put that definition together. You're going to find that we'll talk about scope statements and the project charter. Those are going to be components that you'll see in both these textbooks and the importance or the relevance of them. Now, your discussion activities for the week. Remember, you've got 2 different discussions that are going on, and they're both kind of based on project structure. What does the structure of a project look like? So we'll start to pull that apart. We'll unveil that for you so you get a good chance to have that discussion to understand what that looks like. And then in addition to that, I want to remind you, 3 posts on 3 separate days in each graded TDA to get full credit. I want to make sure you get full credit. That means if you meet those requirements, you get full credit. Now, don't forget also that you can't just go in and say, I agree. You have to have a substantial conversation. You have to continue moving the conversation forward in a positive direction by either adding your opinion, insights, things like that. Okay? I think the week 2 discussion activities this week are going to be really exciting for you. They're going to be a lot of fun because we're going to cover a lot of areas that are challenges for a lot of project managers. Now, your 2 weekly, I'll call it ECS team assignments, are going to be the project charter. The project charter is where you're going to provide more detail. You're going to provide as much detail as possible in defining the project with the limited understanding that you have. So there's a series of questions that we've got laid out for you that we want you to answer. You've got beginning information that you have to fill out. And don't forget that we've got templates for you on all of these. Make sure you use the template. Make sure from an assignment standpoint you're going and reading the assignment information. There's a quick video for you there that shows you what's required to fill out and what we're looking for in the project charter. Now the project charter is where a project gets anointed. This is where you basically have the stakeholder or the project customer say, yes, I agree, we're going to do this project. So that's the trigger for a project to become official, is the best way to put it. And then the next piece you're going to put together is going to be your project scope statement. Your project scope statement is going to be providing as much of the refined detail as possible. It's going to really dig into cost. It's going to dig into schedule. It's going to dig into resources that may or may not be available. It's going to take you to another level of detail. The project charter is a 10,000-foot view. The project scope statement really gets down into what is it that your team is planning on doing. When you're writing the risk sections in both these documents, don't forget that you have a potential object called the mega driver that ECS is forcing you to use. And that mega driver is something that you're going to see on a weekly basis, may have challenges and opportunities for you. So don't forget it when you're starting to look at potential risks. Okay? And then your week 2 individual assignment is only for the team leaders this week. You're rotating the team leadership role this week, so whoever was the team leader last week hands the baton off to a new team leader this week. We're working in that I'll call it leaderful leadership environment where you learn to step forward and accept the challenge being a leader for this week, and then you step back into the role of being a team member. So that's part of what we're going to be exposing you to, is the necessity at different times for certain people to step forward and say, I can take the role this week. It's probably a better fit for me. You're going to be filling out that week 2 team leadership report. Don't forget to get it posted to the gradebook. In addition to that, as the team leader this week, you're responsible for submitting the project scope statement and the project charter to the gradebook for grading. Okay? If you run into any problems, issues, or concerns, feel free to email me, text me, talk to me during our Zoom live presentation. There's a portion at the end that's always made available for any questions that you might have. In addition to that, feel free to, in the module itself, in the Canvas module, there's a couple different locations that you can put information in there. Make sure you conduct your Zoom meetings for your teams. I want you to try to do 1 per week, because I want you to start to get more versed at using that tool, that collaboration tool. We're trying to create that collaboration environment for you. And when you get to Module 6, you're going to be doing a final presentation on exactly what your team experienced for the last 6 modules or last 6 weeks. I want to make sure you get a good chance to practice that. Everybody's going to need a microphone. Everybody's going to need the ability to actually be part of that presentation, because I will be asking you all questions, and you will need to have someone that puts that narrative together for you. Okay? So everybody have a great week. It's exciting. You're into week 2 in MSE 402. Congratulations. Once again, my name is Dale Dierdorf. I look forward to talking to you soon. Have a great week. Goodbye.